About that. Okay, everyone, as Vince mentioned, my name is Kathleen Dotoli. I am an attorney. I do not handle Sandy, construction, contractor. I'm a workers' compensation, social security, disability attorney. However, I was affected by Sandy. As Vince mentioned, our family shore house in Ocean Beach was affected by the storm. We had 4 or 5 feet of water in the house. We toyed with the idea of renovating it, raising it. We ultimately did a demolition and a modular. Vince was our contractor, builder, did pretty much everything. And it was really a very seamless project. This is my testimonial part. It was really turnkey. We didn't really have to do very much. He took care of the building, the permitting, everything, and really all you had to do was pick out the paint colors and make the payments. So we're very happy that worked out so well. The house is very nice. We ultimately sold it, but it's not an easy decision to make. You know, what happened after Sandy was really devastating for a lot of families, but your decision to either, to raise and remodel, it should be getting to be an easier decision. Whole neighborhoods are changing now. Your neighborhoods look different now, almost 5 years after the storm. They look nicer. The homes look better. The Jersey Shore, I really, with great trepidation I say this, it may have been one of the greatest things that happened to neighborhoods and the long-term survival of these homes. A lot of them were built as bungalows. They weren't meant or designed to be full-time residences. They weren't designed to withstand major hurricanes for decade after decade. I mean, really, no offense to 312 West Bayview, but my old house, but that was like a shit shack. By the time, when it was like, when we were like looking at it, should we raise the house? It was like, once the house was cleared out, we were like, this gotta go. I mean, it's gotta go. But up until that point, we were, of course, very happy with it. It was a summer house, and we got a lot of enjoyment out of it. But your flood insurance rates are going to go up. If it didn't affect you yet, it absolutely will. I just attended a legal seminar in Spring Lake talking about what's to come in the next few years. Your insurance rates will increase. Guess what else is going to happen? We're going to be hit with another major storm. No one can predict when that is going to happen. But we see flooding. Scott, I'm sure you see it on LBI. Even though these major storms maybe haven't hit us yet, we see streets that have 2 or 3 inches of flooding after a heavy rainstorm. We see the sewers backing up. So there is a reason outside of, just, I want it to look nice. There is a reason why we cannot lose sight of why we're doing that. All right, well that being, and there's also the resale value. And as Ms. Gill, you mentioned, oh my gosh, Seaside Park, there are many houses that if they had raised, really the houses would be selling and they'd be worth $200,000 to $300,000 more. So good for you. That was a very wise decision on your part. So, I normally go through this big thing about insurance and everything, but everybody seems to have hit on that. The only thing I'm going to say about insurance is, if somebody gives you an insurance card that says Liberty Mutual, you don't have to take that at face value. As a workers' compensation attorney, I've represented many injured workers who thought that they had coverage and they don't. The employer hands them a card. It looks like they have coverage, but in fact they paid the premium or the deposit on the coverage. They never paid part 2, and the policy got canceled 3 weeks later. So you have the right to ask for that card and call the company and make sure that the policy is in effect. You don't even have to do that one time. I don't want to make you feel paranoid, but you can make that call more than once or twice during the course of your project. So again, you want to make sure your Your builder has workers' comp, general liability, your lifter has cargo insurance, insist on proof. The other thing about picking out a builder is really ask for references and call them. Don't just get the sheet of paper or the email that says, well, you know what they, call those people. They're giving you the name. Ask them, who are you to that builder? Are you related in any way? Are you a friend, a neighbor? Did you really, when was this job? Did you really do this, did he really do this work for you? Ask those questions. You don't have to call 40 people. Call 3 or 4. Drive by other projects. Maybe not to see if it's, you know, the house is falling down. You know, no builder's going to give you that address. But see if your style and your quality expectations comport with what you see on that street, right? Ask, I know Dream Homes, Vince has done many developments and communities all over Ocean County. Go drive by those communities. See how they're standing up 10 years later, 15 years later, 20 years later. Don't just, you know, don't just depend on 1 or 2 references. Don't not drive by. Drive by. Drive by. It's so important. This is probably your most important investment. It's your home. You want it to be built right by somebody who, not really an endorsement. I mean, it's not an endorsement. I don't mean to make this sound like a sales pitch, but we have given this seminar, I don't know, 15 times. I've been present 15 times. I've given this speech about picking the right contractor and not getting robbed in probably 15 different iterations. Sometimes I'm super nice. Sometimes I'm beating you over the head. Tonight I'm pretty level-headed. Right? Tonight level-headed?
Well, you had one.
I had a glass of wine. Tonight I'm level-headed.
Tired you.
So, you know, it was getting really frustrating hearing about all the big deposits, lost, gone, people disappearing. This company has not disappeared. They're here. They're here for 20 years through a housing crisis, a real estate crisis, economic calamity. This company is still here, so, you know, and I think they're going to be here in the future. I'm very confident about that. I don't want you to get ripped off. You want to look at your contract. I guess this is the legal aspect. Oh, actually, back up for 1 second. When I talk about, you know, who are you choosing to do your project, I want you to also go to their office. Go to their office and see, does this look like an office that's running? The place should be a mess. It should have files everywhere. If you saw my office, by the way, I run a very busy practice. It looks like a tornado hit at any given time, although I can identify where everything is. But a builder should be really the same way. There should be activity, computers, printers, you know, phones ringing, office staff. Why do you need to know where your contractor is? And by the way, I'm not talking about home office versus business office. Nothing wrong with a home office as long as you can go there. Nothing wrong with a home office as long as you can send mail there, that's okay. But if you need to send certified mail to anybody, including your builder, you want to make sure that there's a physical location, not a P.O. box. You want to be able to drive by in the event your mail is not being picked up. You want to be able to show up there during business hours at a reasonable time and say, hey, I've called you 4 times this week. You know, can we have a meeting? Can we talk? You want to know where that person is. How many times tonight did we hear somebody in this room say, left the state, couldn't find him, took the deposit and left, the invisible man, right? You want to make sure they have at least one physical location. So everybody in agreement on that, how important that is. Okay. Your contract, make sure that you have enough time to review it, to revise it, to rescind it if you're feeling uncomfortable. That's a very important right. What is the right to rescind? Is it 5 days?
3 days.
3 days?
3 days by law. It should be in your contract.
No blank contracts. A lot of people are in a big rush to have you sign off and give me the deposit. The deposit should be relatively small, under $5,000. Nobody should be banging on your door for money if they haven't completed work. I think our other speakers have spoken about that tonight. I won't make my drum too much longer. But that is how everybody seems to be getting hurt. Big deposits, or, give me 50,000, 60,000, 80,000, and meanwhile, there's not a lot of work being done on the project. So pay attention to the schedules, the payment schedules. Pay attention to timeframes. When is this project going to start? When is this project going to finish? Best estimate, right? And remember what Vince said a moment ago about change orders. Change orders will absolutely positively increase the amount of time it takes to complete the project. I don't have to tell you, you're all here. This is a savvy group, you're paying attention. Be wary of people who come door to door. That was happening a lot in the beginning. I think I'm actually going to take this out of my little presentation. That was actually happening in the beginning. Right, Scott, people would show up, drive up and down on a block, take $3,000, $5,000 deposits from people, go.
Yeah, I'll get rid of that bowl for you.
Right. All right. Once you're actually working with somebody, talking about communication, it should be reasonable to expect 24 to 48 hours for return phone calls, emails, texts. Should be okay for you, and this is about managing your expectations. Should be okay for you to talk to office staff, office personnel. Try not to talk to the guys that come out to the job site, because they're really not equipped to take in your change orders. Unless it's a really, really minor thing, change orders really should be done on paper, written down, signed off by everybody. Don't assume because you told some guy on a job site that you wanted nickel instead of gold-plated, whatever fixtures, that's going to happen, okay? Change orders have to be in writing. Don't piecemeal your work. What do I mean by that? Don't pick, your brother-in-law to do the kitchen, and your neighbor to do the roof, and your best buddies, so-and-so, to do the windows, because who's going to guarantee it when you need that home warranty that everybody's been talking about? If there's a leak, you know what they're all going to do? They're going to point the finger at each other. The roof guy's going to look to the window guy guy's going to look to the sheetrock guy. Just, don't piecemeal your work. Pick one builder, one contractor, and go forward. Unless you want to paint or something yourself, which is, I think, actually a great way to save a little money. Again, managing your expectations. The stuff outside of your house, your plants, your beautiful Japanese maple, your gorgeous hydrangea, your gorgeous, beautiful fountains, all that stuff, that's really on you. You've got to protect that stuff. If it's important to you, you have to expect that it's going to get wrecked, ruined, trampled. There's going to be heavy equipment on your property. If it means something to you, get a storage shed. Store it, save it. That goes for your furniture, any artwork that you may have in your home. Do your best to mitigate your damages at the end of this project. So I think that's basically it. Does anybody have any questions for me? No? Okay.
I got a
Yes, sir.
I got a question. We got a payment schedule and a progress schedule plan. And let's say they're going just about right,
Yeah.
but the quality of the work doesn't seem to be there.
Okay.
I'm 40% into the job. How do we get rid of the contractor? Is there exculpatory language that I should write in my engagement letter with him?
Look, what I would recommend right off the bat is really trying to work that out with the contractor.
Let's assume we did that, okay?
Assuming you did that, you
Yeah,
worked it
and
out.
I know that I don't want to finish the rest of 60% of the job.
You don't want him to have the rest of that
It
job.
looks bad. It's
You're
trying
not
to
a-
bring dream homes in here. So how do I get rid of ABC?
Okay. Well, if you've really made a good faith effort to try and correct the work that's been done thus far, I assume there's something in your contract that would address something like that, quality, et cetera. I think that by sending them a letter saying that it would have to be regular, certified, saying that you're not satisfied with the services, and you can really pinpoint with pictures, a full description, what's wrong. Are you a REM? Is this actually happening, sir? Is this a REM project?
And that's something that, you know, I'm planning for, we're planning everything else here.
Right,
I'm trying to figure out, you know, I got a contract
right.
and put
So this is
an addendum to the contract so I don't mess up his word processing and just say addendum 9, item number 1.
Okay.
Is the exculpatory language to terminate the contract at will of the owner.
I would make sure that's in your contract.
I just
mean,
said
that's-
that.
It is in your contract.
No, I don't have a contract yet.
I would make sure that you put that in your contract.
Is that
No one will
possible in
ever
this
sign that
industry?
No
No?
no one in the world would ever sign a contract that said the owner could terminate the contract.
Not at will. No, not at, no, not at will. No,
No.
not
You have
at
to
will.
go to
At will
arbitration?
means at any time or no reason. Is that what you would intend that?
What is the principles of arbitration, mitigation, to be able to stop the job? And
Yeah, what is in your contract? And when a client is not happy?
Well, the first thing that you want to do 95% of the time is communicate. So the first thing that we do is something happens or a series of something occurs, and then you say to the builder, I have concerns with your ability to complete the project because of how you have completed X, Y, and Z.
right,
So, depending on how the builder reacts, would lead you to your next course. If the builder says, Skip, I'm really sorry to hear about that. Let's set up a site meeting and let's go through. Jason and I were just talking about this before the seminar. First thing we do, if somebody's unhappy, say, great, let's meet them. Come with you.
And you could have 5 conversations that go like that.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, sir, there's nothing that can, there's no crystal ball that can tell you that even if you take all of these precautions, that you're not going to end up in some kind of dispute with your builder. And whether that's letters going back and forth, or a couple of disgruntled phone calls, or actual, lawsuit and litigation, there's nothing that can totally protect you from that. So, the best thing I could say is really just document what you feel is substandard. I hope that doesn't happen, but document it as best you can, voice your concerns in writing, and if you feel like you are truly at an impasse, then you can just tell them that you're not going to proceed, but just better make sure that you're covered in that area, because this is a contract. This is a contract. Your contractor is also depending on you to finish the terms of that contract. So, you're really in it's
okay, thank you very much.
slippery slope.
And
I mean, it's something, oh, go ahead.
the related thing to that is that I've had a couple times when that's happened, clients while the houses are being built. It's really, really difficult to pinpoint the exact value that the homeowner is entitled to and the builder is entitled to at any given point along the project. Typically the builder can produce a whole bunch of receipts and say, this is what I've spent so far, this is what my profit and overhead is that I'm entitled to, so this is where we should be. He's given me X, I'm entitled to another $11,000, and we say goodbye at this point. If you can do that, that's great, but it usually ends up being something more like the builder saying, I'm entitled to another $100,000 and I didn't get it.
Right, and something, Scott, that's a good point, and that gets back to the payment schedules. You never want one party to be so far ahead of the other. You don't want the contractor to be so far ahead, meaning took so much money from the homeowner,
I heard that.
and vice versa is true.
Right, no.
You don't want the homeowner to be so far ahead either.
I mean, it's, that in our estimation, or my estimation, that eventuality is avoided by basic due diligence. You don't ever want to deal with someone who is not concerned with their reputation.
Well, the fact that you brought it up, sir, is excellent, because my experience in construction years ago on very large jobs, you know, we always front-loaded the job to get the general conditions and everything else out of it, so, and that can be a problem.
Sure.
But on these houses are teeny weenies compared to that.
Sure.
But the same thing can happen in aggregate, so, okay, enough said. Thank you.
Okay. All right, well, thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. Okay, and